So in a week where everybody's on high alert for the possibility of a Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, Nintendo drops a bomb on us this morning, which is their bundle for the North American region, which is none other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again in the base system and the OLED model. But that does not necessarily discount the possibility of Nintendo actually revealing Switch 2, and we actually have a pretty interesting report that I'm going to file in my possibly likely scenario because this is coming from a Chinese supposed leaker with a limited track record, if any. But we have seen plenty of credible reports that suggest that all the components for this console are getting shipped around. It's all but ready for mass production, and this new claim has to do specifically with mass production, the name of the console, which honestly would be a shocker if this is what it is, but also probably the most logical what Nintendo should call it, and some very specific console details that do line up with everything we were kind of more or less expecting this system to feature. So we'll get on the same page with all of this new info. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first start off by hopping over to Universo Nintendo, where they do have a detailed article written up on all of these new claims. Rumor, Nintendo's console successor would be Switch 2. In fact, features and production in China are pointed out. A Family Boards user shared a rumor coming from a forum in China whose topics has since been deleted, where the alleged worker of one of Nintendo's contracted automakers, which this is machine translated, so automaker is probably not the correct term there, in the Asian country would have commented on the production line of the new system as well as some of its features. Check out a summary below. The console would in fact be named Nintendo Switch 2. Its mass production would have already started. 1,000 units of the system would be assembled by this particular worker daily. He also reports that the new console is slightly larger than the Switch 1 OLED. The screen edges would be smaller compared to the current Switch. The new Joy-Con would have their design in white and black. The kickstand for support at the rear would be open in a U shape. Finally, he mentioned the Switch logo is slightly larger and accompanied by a noticeable number 2 on the back. Some of this information has already been discussed in the past and aligns with what the Chinese worker shared, such as the kickstand in the shape of a U and also the larger size of the console compared to the Switch 1 OLED, possibly to house the screen that should also be larger, 7.9 inches. In any case, this is still a rumor, and Nintendo does not comment on this type of information until it officially announces its products. So take this rumor for what you will. If Nintendo Switch 2 is indeed in mass production and the name is actually Switch 2, that's going to be a surprising choice of a name for Nintendo. I actually think it makes all the sense in the world to call it the Switch 2 because it's very clear and concise with what this console is. It's a follow-up to an extremely successful, the most successful console from an overall revenue standpoint and quickly approaching even a unit standpoint for Nintendo. Like, they probably honestly should call this thing the Switch 2 and just make it clear it's the next generation version of the hybrid console that you know and love that we have right now. But Nintendo also historically does not do this with their consoles. They like to have something more creative and different. So as long as they don't call it Switch U, I think we're in the clear. I personally still like the name Super Nintendo Switch, but one thing that is almost for certain, I think Switch is the branding for this console in some way, shape, or form. So that bigger logo on the back with it still looking like a Switch logo, I think does make sense. And if you keep it with the Switch name, outside of calling it Super Nintendo Switch, Switch 2 might be the most logical choice. And we also have different leadership at Nintendo launching this console, because this is President Shintaro Furukawa, and we're going to see him potentially take things a little bit more on a safer path than we typically see Nintendo go down, and this naming strategy could exactly line up with that. But in regards to mass manufacturing, if that's going on right now, even if Nintendo isn't planning on announcing it this week or next week or the first week of October, we are probably days and weeks away from pictures of this console from the manufacturing line leaking out online, which does actually lead some credence into the idea that Nintendo would want to get ahead of that stuff and just reveal it potentially as soon as this week. Like, we could be talking about an announcement for a reveal from Nintendo as soon as tomorrow or Wednesday, and they air that first look trailer the next day. Maybe it's a more in-depth presentation than a first look trailer. I mean, just look at how Nintendo has been branding anything that's like information related as a direct. If you look at the Nintendo Museum Direct, that's just a look at Nintendo's upcoming museum that's opening up over in Japan, and they put the Direct title on that. Maybe this is a Nintendo Switch successor Direct, and that's actually what they're going to brand it as, and we get a look at not only the console features and kind of a general overview like a first look trailer, but we also learn about a few of the games that will be coming out during the launch window of this console. It could be a very big time for Nintendo news coming soon. That's clearly not confirmed, but Nintendo's also followed this different pattern in September than we've ever seen them do before. September is the historical month that they go on with a traditional Nintendo Direct, and we saw them just hold a Indie World and Partner Showcase together at the end of August, and that Museum Direct that was supposedly once upon a time planned for September, that got moved up to August as well. And the claim is that Nintendo did all of this to make room for a standalone next-gen console related announcement. So we are right in the time frame of Nintendo potentially revealing this thing. There's all types of rumors around commercials being filmed for it. It doesn't have to be September, it could absolutely be October, but September just seems like the perfect month considering that Nintendo has cleared out all of this other stuff. And we were talking about the bundle announcement earlier. Yeah, that is something that Nintendo is going to do and market, and maybe they have more bundles to announce, because I actually think they're going to do something for the Switch Lite system in this region of the world as well. I would just hope that we also get the Mario Wonder bundle. Like, I don't know why Nintendo wants to just repeat Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and not at least give us the Wonder option over here like they have in Australia and New Zealand and over in the UK and things. But regardless of what they do with all of that, they're still going to be marketing and selling their current consoles this holiday season. But before these mass manufacturing leaks start to appear, I think it makes a lot of sense for Nintendo to just reveal their next gen console and start to get consumers ready for that mindset that you will be ready to pick up this next gen hardware as soon as like the March to June window next year. I don't think it goes any later than the middle of 2025 if you just look at Nintendo's software lineup for the current Switch and how they're supporting it in this no doubt transition year. And I personally think it's the perfect time to strike. I hope Nintendo does reveal the price point for this thing, if it's to be believed that it's going to be that $400 retail, because while the internet is so up in arms with Sony and the PS5 Pro announcement and prices being discussed very heavily online with a $700 digital only console that thing is, and then Nintendo comes out and says we have essentially a PS4/Series S level of power when docked console that's going to play modern day games, that you have the ability to pick up at a $400 price point, and it's a hybrid system that you can play in handheld or docked mode, and they show off a few great next gen games that look amazing. Like, Nintendo could absolutely capitalize on this situation, and there's going to be a ton of eyeballs on them ultimately announcing what their next gen console is. So that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you think of this new report? Do you think that, yes, over in China right now, this thing's being mass manufactured and this is legit information? Do you think that larger Switch logo with a 2 next to it on the back of the console is indeed the name of what Nintendo is going to call the successor hardware? And what do you think about black and white Joy-Cons maybe being what's included with this console at launch? I don't know if they're claiming one black, one white, or if there would just be 2 different color choices where you actually get to pick black or white and you get a set of the same color. The U-shaped kickstand is obviously an expected thing. Like, I don't think it's going to be significantly different than what we have on the Switch OLED model. But what do you think about that larger, almost 8-inch display on the front of this thing and it being slightly bigger than the Switch OLED body for the console overall? Is that stuff you were looking forward to for the next gen console, or do you think it should retain the same form factor that we have currently with this current family of systems? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.